And our third and final main topic today gets submitted to us by Lost in Translation, who writes, "Hey crew, it's now being reported that production on Aziz Ansari's directorial debut film Being Mortal has now been suspended by Searchlight Pictures. At first, it was assumed that the shutdown might have been caused due to a COVID outbreak, but now Deadline reports it was due to Bill Murray's inappropriate behavior on set. It's really unfortunate to see how a highly esteemed actor like Bill at this point of his career behaving like that, and even more sad to see that Aziz's and his crew not being able to create their desired film due to one man's erratic behavior. John, what are your thoughts on the situation? Thanks, and love to the crew." All right, thanks for saying that in Lost in Translation. All right, so for those of you who don't know what's happening here. So Aziz Ansari, who of course is Tom Haverford of Parks and Rec. That's what he'll always be that to me. I loved him so much in that show. That's where I totally fell in love with him as a performer. He's making his directorial debut. And he's got Seth Rogen in it, Bill Murray in it. That's not bad for your directorial debut. And they get about halfway through filming, and all of a sudden, and we found this out the other day, that all of a sudden production stopped. They halted production on the film. And we didn't even talk about it on the show because like everybody else, we just kind of assumed, oh, this is either like a COVID thing or a scheduling thing or whatever. Nothing big came out of it. Well, now we found out why it is. According to Deadline, it has to do with Bill Murray. This comes us from the folks at Deadline who report the following. Following the news that production was suspended on the Searchlight film Being Mortal, sources tell Deadline the suspension had to do with a complaint made against star Bill Murray for inappropriate behavior. It is unknown at this time what Murray's involvement in the project will be going forward as the investigation remains active. Insiders add that Aziz Ansari, who is starring, writing, and making his directorial debut on the film alongside his partner Yori Henley, was not a part of the complaint, nor was co-star Seth Rogen. Searchlight said it does not comment during ongoing investigations. All right, so let me say this first. In talking about Bill Murray's erratic behavior, let's be clear. Right now, we don't know what the behavior is. For all we know, it could be, obviously it's probably not, but I'm just saying, keep in mind, this could be a complaint that Bill Murray double-dipped this chip in the cast's, what do you call it? What do you dip your chips in? I don't know.
The craft service table.
But what do you dip your chips in? You dip it in
chocolate and peanut butter?
Sure, chocolate and peanut butter.
Sour cream and onions.
Sour cream and something. And why queso. Not? Yeah.
Mix the queso with the sour cream.
Somebody saw Bill Murray double dip and thought, number one, that's ignorant to start with. I must admit, I'm a double dipper. But number one, that's ignorant to start with. And number two, in the age of COVID, how can you be so irresponsible? Shut this thing down. I mean, it might be that. Probably not, but I'm just saying, let's keep in mind before we rush to judgment that we don't know what the accusation is or what he supposedly did. So let's not get too far ahead of ourselves on this. There are a couple things that we know factually that we can speculate about and look at. Number one, it has to be serious enough that Searchlight, because remember, Rob, you point this out all the time. Every second on a movie set is probably hundreds of dollars. I mean, every day, every hour is thousands of dollars. Like, for Searchlight to just stop production halfway through, this is going to cost them a lot of money.
It's catastrophic, really.
I mean, especially since I'm going to assume since it's Searchlight, it's probably not a huge budget film. They probably spent whatever money they had on Seth Rogen and Bill Murray and
think about the crew. You've got an entire crew. They've halted. They've curtailed this kind of, and it might be one person who called it. It's inappropriate behavior,
right?
And one person's inappropriate behavior might be Bill Murray's idea of humor or comedy.
Yeah, I mean, for all we know,
it could be a generational difference. You never know.
Could be, but again, it's serious enough that Searchlight actually pulled plug on the production.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, the second thing that we should mention here, and listen, this is hard because I mean, who doesn't love Bill Murray? Everybody loves Bill Murray, obviously. I grew up watching this guy. Like a lot of my childhood was spent watching his, whether it's Ghostbusters or Stripes or you name it, Meatballs, Caddyshack, whatever, right? Grew up idolizing Bill Murray. Everybody laughs it off. But what happened on the set of Charlie's Angels 2, we have found out in recent years was, let's just call it, Bill Murray was an asshole.
To Lucy Liu.
Yeah. In that, let's call it what it is. All of us act like assholes sometimes, right? We all do. It's just whether or not we get caught in that moment. But when
he called into question her talent, her ability in front of the crew,
in front of the cast and crew,
berated her.
Yep. And apparently cast and crew had to physically restrain Lucy Liu from beating the shit out of him.
Yes.
And when you really read the reports, like from crew, like, because before we used to hear he said, she said, but in recent years, actual accounts from the people who were on set that day came out. And look, there's just no getting around it. Bill Murray was a real asshole to her. In that one, that doesn't mean he's necessarily an asshole in the rest of his life. We're all assholes sometimes. That doesn't mean you're an asshole for your entire life. But it's hard not to think of that when you hear something like this and think, well, it wouldn't be the first time that Bill Murray maybe has acted inappropriately on set. Again, though, I think it would be dangerous for us to get into, like, I read some people already speculating online that he probably made inappropriate sexual advances on somebody. There's nothing to suggest that that's the case. I mean, who knows, it might be. It might be that he double dipped his chip. We just don't know. Hey guys, we want to take a minute and thank the sponsor of today's video, the good folks at Keeps. Now look, you guys probably already know that 2 out of every 3 men will experience some form of hair loss by the time they're just 35 years old. Now that's where Keeps comes in, because Keeps has more 5-star reviews than any of its competitors. That means the guys that use it love it. Keeps offers a simple, affordable, and stress-free way to keep your hair. It's also low cost. Treatments start as low as just $10 per month, and Keeps offers generic versions for the 2 FDA-approved medications to prevent hair loss. That means treatment plans are affordable, typically half the cost of pharmacy prices. Keeps has everything your hair needs, delivered straight to your door with discreet packaging and proven results. Remember, prevention is the key. Treatments can take 4 to 6 months to see results, so the sooner you act, the better. When it comes to your hair, save more, spend less with Keeps. So if you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to Keeps, that's KEEPS.com/Campea to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's Keeps, KEEPS.com/Campea to get your first month free. Keeps.com/Campea. But obviously it's concerning to hear. It's got to be something serious enough that made Searchlight pull the plug on production. It's going to cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this. It's not the first time Bill Murray has probably acted badly on a set. And you got to feel bad for Aziz.
Oh, yeah.
It's his first movie. And he's trying to do this. Then, I mean, I think all the crew should be getting paid right now because they're contracted to work these days.
Yeah.
So they should be getting paid, but you got to feel bad for a lot of the people involved. Anyway, Rob, you read the story and you hear about it. What are the thoughts that come to your mind?
Well, you know, boy, it's for me, it's tough because from a producing standpoint, I'm only thinking about the crew. I'm thinking about Aziz. I'm thinking about the movie at hand. I'm thinking about the millions of dollars of investment that's gone into this project. I'm also thinking about the fact that humor in this day and age, there's a lot of people that object strenuously to certain brands of humor. And Bill Murray is not exactly, I mean, it's not just his movie roles, it's his off-camera persona too, when he shows up like behind the bar at some country club where someone's having a wedding and suddenly he's just part of the wedding. You know, he does crazy stuff all the time and he says crazy things. And I wonder sometimes if there's generational issues with comedy, people not understanding certain things and they misconstrue something as something else. I've seen that happen before where somebody has to step in and go, yo. But in this case, it leads me to believe that there has to be something more serious going on because they did pull the plug. So it wasn't just maybe him making an off-color remark or dipping his Doritos in different, double dipping. Something here happened that has substance. And in order to make sure that nothing untoward occurred or to clarify what happened, I think Searchlight stepped in and they made a tough decision and they said, we're going to look into this. Right thing to do, I think, especially in this day and age. So it leads me to believe that there's something's going on. I think the studios handle it correctly. John, it might happen that, you know what, we looked into this. It might have been a misunderstanding. It wasn't whatever. We can move forward now.
Yes.
But maybe it isn't. And we don't know. You know, this is the second high-profile project that's been shut down. The other was The House of Usher with Frank Langella, who was the star. I love Frank Langella. 85-year-old Frank Langella was also...
And he got recast.
He got recast, fired for inappropriate behavior on set. It's never good when this happens. But this kind of thing, the industry has to be sensitive. We've been going through a sea change for the last couple of years. It is a long time coming. And I think that ultimately it will lead to a better set atmosphere. But obviously not a great... I hope that Aziz, more than anything, I hope this cast and crew gets to go forward and make the movie Aziz Ansari wanted to make.
Yeah, so I think we can sit here and hope. I think we all are. I think what we're all hoping is that this is something relatively minor. This is an example. This is a situation where the studios is saying, you know what? We don't want to later just ignore this now and complete production and then be accused of not taking something seriously. And that we did our due diligence and we found out it wasn't that severe. Maybe a little some. I hope it doesn't end up being something more serious.
Right.
I hope it doesn't upend their movie, because at this point they're already halfway through shooting. If they have to go back in and reshoot half of it, that's a big hit for a relatively small movie. So let's just all keep our fingers crossed that it ends up being nothing too bad. I mean, because somebody else was pointing out in the live chat too. I mean, like, Bill Murray's also had a history of broken relationships. Even his Ghostbusters castmates,
right,
in him have had broken relationships. And like, I don't know. I hope it's nothing serious.
I just want to give credit. I've always been a fan of Searchlight. I mean, now they're owned by Disney. Kudos to the studio for stepping in quickly and addressing this situation. Got to hand it to them for that.
Yeah, and hopefully, and you know what? This might work out the best for Bill Murray, because if they stop production and say they looked into it and say, okay, we gave it the proper attention and we deem that it's actually not all that bad, that's probably better for Bill Murray than just rushing through production than having it hanging over his head.
100%.
You know what I mean? So this is, of course, assuming, hopefully, fingers crossed, that it's nothing all that serious. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this situation? Aziz Ansari finally doing his directorial debut. Studio pulls the plug on it halfway through, hauls things up because of an accusation that we still don't know what it is against Bill Murray. Do you think it might be something serious? Do you hope it's maybe not? Maybe this will just all blow over. What are you guys thinking? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.